Hey YouTube, hey YouTube, hey. I didn't want to make this video for the longest time, but these are my thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 5, The Door. And when I say my thoughts, I basically mean my tears, because it was bloody tragic and ingenious, and I can understand some people's reactions with like, "Oh my god, I'm done with this show." I would only really do that if a show has disgusted me to my core to the point where I'm not going to watch it again, just if the quality dips, which it dipped last season, but I think this season is the best it's been, you know, in 2 years. Season, because I thought season 4 was one of the best seasons to date. But holy hell, yeah. So I'm gonna go right up on Front Street here and say 100% spoilers. I'm not going to recap everything that happens in the episode, because by and large, not everything is worth mentioning. Arya is still training to be a faceless man. She's getting beaten up at work. She goes to a play where she sees these guys reenact season 1 for about, almost 10 minutes, and it makes you wonder, why are we spending so much time here? Is it? And then you realize it was Richard E. Grant the whole time, and I'm like, oh, that's Richard. Is that Richard E. Grant? Oh my god, right on. But it's still puzzling. What so there's not a lot. There are some other interesting plot points, but I'm gonna stick with the main points. Okay, so I'm gonna work my way up. The scene with Tyrion and Varys, where they're like, listen, we need to secure the peace here. We've got it, it's peaceful for now, but it's not good enough. Okay, we need to secure this. We need the help of the religion, the Lord of Light religion, the Red Priestesses, to help us secure that, so they can say Daenerys is great. And it turns out they're already on the same page. Like, yeah, no, Daenerys is the prince that was promised. She's gonna, of course we support her. She was reborn in flame, just like R'hllor predicted, etc., etc. Varys is skeptical. He's like, listen, because Varys has a deep-seated hatred for sorcerers and their ilk. So, he's skeptical. He's like, oh yeah, well, there was a red sorceress over in Westeros who supported Stannis, and he was defeated roundly twice. Now he's dead. What are you gonna do about that? She kind of gets in his face and terrifies him and says, yeah, do you remember what happened that night? Do you remember when your gonads got thrown in the fire? Do you remember the voice? Do you want to know what the voice said? And it just gets really intense. And it's prior to this or the last season, anytime they hint at the supernatural in this show, for me it was thrilling, because by and large this is a show that's very procedural, very, it's all about politics. It's about the medieval warfare at the time. It's about these people playing mind games with each other, being horrible to each other, and just how they're affecting their country and their family, and just it's set in a fantasy realm, but the fantasy elements aren't ordinarily at play. So whenever they do become at play, it feels as shocking as it would if, like, a dragon showed up on an episode of The Bill. That's just it almost feels out of place. So whenever Varys told Tyrion that story about how this happened, it was weird. So to see that brought up again and shoved in his face when that's not something he's told people, it's fascinating. Let me see what I'm getting to it. Okay, I'm gonna talk about it. I want to talk about some other points first. The Sansa and Littlefinger scene was fantastic. I think Sophie Turner was amazing in this. It was a nice way of sort of buttoning what's going on in terms of the fact that Littlefinger left Sansa at Winterfell. What did he think was going to happen? Now, she makes a point where, like, if you didn't know what he was, you're an idiot. If you did know what he was, you're my enemy now. And she doesn't buy into his foppishness or his flatteries. It's just like, what do you think he did to me? What do you think he did to me? So, and she makes him, she's very in his face about it. She's not going to be polite. She's going to challenge him on this. She's like, she feels betrayed. rightfully so. Littlefinger mentions in a conversation with Ramsay back in season 5 that it's my business to know everybody, and I don't know you, and that's strange to me. So that's odd. So maybe he doesn't know him, but I would have thought he'd known enough because Ramsay Bolton has a reputation. So, you know, and he was like, "Oh, I heard you escaped. I was so worried. I've got an army ready to go." And he's like, "Well, I don't." And Sansa just sends him packing. He does give her a bit of information, so there's a nice little coda where Sansa's like, "Oh, well, the Blackfish has risen up and retaken Riverrun, so he could help us." And Jon's like, "How did you find that out?" He's like, "Oh, there was a raven." He goes, Sansa, I think down the line they're not going to reconcile, but I do think they are going to form some kind of alliance again because Littlefinger has men at Sansa's call if need be, and she might need them. So there's that. Generally speaking, that was one of the other scenes that really impressed me. Just how far Sophie Turner's gone as an actress. This is Dark Sansa. Whenever at the end of season 4 when we saw her in the black dress, we're like, oh, okay, all right, here we go. She means business. Well, it's taken us a season and a half, but now she's here meaning business. That's the Sansa that they teased. Now we finally got her, and I'm impressed. So there's that. But now I'm going to get into it. The white. So this was surprisingly, this was very north of the wall centric, which is odd because a lot of them have been very Jon Snow oriented. He barely gets a look in this week. He rides off to war to get some more Northmen because he's Jon Snow. And we see more of Bran's vision. We see the origin of the White Walkers, which is something I never thought I would see. I just thought they exist. We don't need to see their beginnings, but we did, and it begins with like ritualistic murder of the children of the forest, just pushing this blade or stone through this guy's chest, and then his eyes turn blue. We're like, oh, it was like that. Damn. And then later on, unsupervised, Bran just touches one of the weirwood tree roots and he sees the army of the dead. He sees the White Walkers, and the Night King, the leader of the Night Walkers, grabs him. Bran wakes up, screams, and they're like, oh, yeah, you've got to go now. He knows where we are. You have to leave. Sure enough, in the next scene, they're there. It's such a great scene. It made me gasp for a minute because they pull out and you see the army, you see the White Walkers at the head of it, but for a moment I was like, oh, it's set against the forest. No, it's not a forest. Those hills are just crawling with zombies, with whites. And like the scale of that was just terrifying. I was terrified for a good 15 minutes, especially because they're holding their own rather fruitlessly. I mean, Mira took down one. She had a little. I mean, I was confused. I had to watch it again, but yeah, I thought, what, she threw a stick and it took one out. No, it was like a dragon glass spear. So that's good. They took one down. There's that. Summer, the direwolf died in the escape. That annoyed me. But that hurts. But damn it, man. Summer went out like a champ. He was protecting Bran. God damn it. Summer is dead, which means winter is coming. It's all metaphorical. Now, okay, let's get into it. So, Bran is getting a crash course in green seeing. They go back to Winterfell, and Bran's confused, and Mira's telling him, "Bran, you need to wake up. You need to walk into Hodor right now. We need Hodor. We need the strength. We need to go." And he can hear this in the past, and the Three-Eyed Raven, Max von Sydow, says, "Listen to your friend. Walk into Hodor." So he does. He walks into Hodor. Hodor wakes up. He packs them up. They get running. Another one of the children of the forest just like holds them off for a time. Summer goes down trying to hold them off. It's awesome. Bran's still in the past. The Three-Eyed Raven just gets annihilated. He just kind of disperses like black smoke. It was really weird and ethereal and weird and creepy. And they're running through this tunnel. It's really tense because, at this point we've established nobody is safe, okay? Jon Snow died. And Bran is still... Bran is in two places at once, effectively. His consciousness is in Hodor in the present, but he's also in the past at Winterfell looking at Hodor as a child. And yeah, so they get to the end of the tunnel, they wrench the door open, Mira and Bran are escaping with the sled, and Mira keeps yelling at him, hold the door. And Hodor of the past, Willis, wargs for a second, you see his eyes flash up, and then he collapses, has a seizure, and starts repeating what her orders are. Hold the door, hold the door, hold the door. Now, as this is happening, adult Hodor is holding the door. And just before we go any further, okay, we've seen people hold off zombies single-handedly before with the use of weaponry, guns, military hardware, superpowers, what have you. This guy just had brute strength, a strong backbone against a frozen wooden door, and it worked, okay? Maybe there was some magic at play, I don't care. Just they've established Hodor is stupidly strong, and he's got some giant blood, perhaps, who knows? We'll never know now. And he fucking held that door, man. He went out like a champ, I'll give him that. And we don't see it, but if Hodor's not dead, god damn it, man. The next time we see him, he's gonna have blue eyes, and that's gonna hurt me all the more. Damn it. We see them gnawing and bashing through the door. We see like them ripping and stabbing him in the leg and scratching his face, and it's heart-wrenching stuff. And the whites in this, the zombies that this show uses, are amazing in that. Bloody hell, it's we've never seen zombies directed before, so to see them burrowing and just like a hive mind just racing at you, it's terrifying. And Hodor stood one against them, and that's the reason. That's Hodor's reason. The whole reason Hodor became Hodor is because he was connected to his adult self while he was a teenager, and he kept hearing the instruction, hold the door, whilst he was being pulled apart by a horde of whites. And it's tragic, and it's cyclical in nature, and it's bizarre, and it's so like the rumor and the theory was that Hodor was going to be some kind of magical word that only he could say. Or it's not even that. It's just hold the door, hold the door, Hodor, Hodor, Hodor. And it's tragic because we're seeing the beginning and end of Hodor at the same time. And that was what Hodor was always going to do. And Bran watches this and he's like, oh my god, I did this. I fucked up. You fucked up big time, Bran. You fucked up large. How are you going to fix this? Bran has no direwolf, no Hodor. If a certain character from the books doesn't turn up in the next episode, I swear to God, YouTube, it's so they've effectively introduced time travel to Game of Thrones. They've had it through visions before, but that wasn't quite time travel. Now this is him going back in time and impacting the past, but he's already done that because time travel. But who cares? It's Christian Nairn, man, for a guy who is effectively a bit character, who's only ever had one line that he's had to convey through multiple tones and inflections, and just well done for friggin' 6 seasons of Hodor, of a guy who became a meme, a large man who talks like a Pokemon, and he stole our hearts, and it sucks now, it really does. The show has lost its heart, because this is a character who's doesn't have any ulterior motives, he's just there to protect them, he's just there to look after the Stark kids, and he's done that. He died doing that. I want everyone to have their Boromir moment, but he went out like a champ, a fucking champ. He held the door, and that's the death of the year. Okay, if another show can top that, I'll be amazed. If Game of Thrones can top that this season, I'll be astonished. But yeah, absolutely death of the year. Christian Nairn, I applaud you. Well done. You're a great man, and I hear you're an awesome DJ as well. Bloody Hodor, man. We've lost Hodor. We've lost the heart of the show. It hurts. It hurt me. I needed like we put a movie on afterwards, but for 15 minutes it was still just kind of like, oh man. Nobody's ever going to be able to say hold the door ever again without somebody collapsing into a pit of tears. It's done. It's not happening. But oh man, that was rough. Right, I need I need a shot, dude. I swear to God. Oh, this is. Ah, I don't know how I'm maintaining this macho composure. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Game of Thrones, The Door. If you like this vid, please click like, subscribe, view, share, and all the usual jazz. And I'll see you next week.